a sluggo. Slant and go.
Fellas, it's a chance to be ruthless.
Yeah.
It's been a while since we've all three gotten together, since Locks crushed us last December, crushed our hopes, Beef, like he seems to do every year. So thanks for inviting him.
Yeah, right.
On point.
It is my fault. I know.
And what is so funny is that, Locks was supposed to be a misnomer, and he's turned out, well, I wouldn't say he's been Locks, but he's been better than,
That's not saying much, though, Marty. Come on now.
I haven't said anything yet. Did we notice that? I haven't said a word. So go ahead. Continue.
This is going to be our year, Beef. We are going to be ruthless. I kind of took it easy on Locks the last 2 years, but this year, because
This is it.
the dope hat, which is sitting over there, and I've got a broken ankle, so I'm not going to get it. But you guys have seen the dope hat. We're playing for a dope hat, not literally a dope hat, literally a dope hat. So we haven't even talked about it. Are we going to do the same thing as last year? 3 games and 10,000 sluggo bucks.
I like it.
Yeah, I think it's fair. We actually haven't talked about it, like you're saying. Summer gets away from you, and
We barely talked about doing this tonight.
that's a good point.
I think that would be the chop and beef rubbing off on me.
That might be.
Because I've had all the time in the world, believe me. Somebody asked me the other day how I hurt my ankle, and my wife chimed up and said, walking as an old man. So old
Was
man
she
walking.
wrong?
She was not wrong. Your bones are not as flexible when you're at a certain age that I am, as they are when you're young fellas like you two guys. So snap like a twig at the corner of Texas and Crawford Street. Have you ever seen the Astros home stadium? In left field, they have the Crawford boxes.
Okay.
Well, that street right behind there is called Crawford Street.
Whoa.
And
named
I know who thought that one up, right? And we were going to the game, my boy and I, on July 4th, and it had rained. There's a clue. It was wet. We looked this way, and there's a whole bunch of people, and they were selling stuff and screaming at people. So I said, let's go this way. And this is the last thing I remember. I hit it was like a metal cover for utilities underground. Right. Not like not a manhole cover, but it was like shiny silver metal, squarish, and my leg went one way. And on the way down, I said, I broke my ankle. And guess what? I was right. But, I mean, Dad of the Year, right? Dad of the Year. Guess what? We went to that damn game.
You did not.
We went to that game. I shrugged off the EMS. I shrugged off the also had a couple of beers during the game. But we went to the game, which I made pretty, it was not bad. But the way home was I had to walk 2 blocks on the way home on a broken ankle. And then I drove 150 miles the next morning on a broken ankle.
And that's your right ankle?
That was my right ankle.
Oh, my God.
And the doctor just shook his head.
Yeah.
So along with my wife and everybody else. But
oh boy.
So that's how my summer went. Beef, how'd your summer
go? Work. When you're in the industry that I'm in, your busiest time is the summer. So I'm absolutely shell-shocked, busy, can't see straight, stressed. And other than that, it's been really hot.
Have you sold any controversial school books this year?
No, not this year. Not this year. We're all good. Biology, I guess. I don't know. I thought maybe it could be controversial being biology, but it really wasn't. at all.
Mm.
So we're good.
Okay, cool. Locks, how about your summer?
I was just trying to think of something different to say. I mean, I guess I went on vacation at one point. I can barely remember it. Like drinking out of a fire hose at work. Hot, same thing. It's brief. I haven't broken anything. That's about all I got going for me. It's been nuts. It's gone by fast. I mean, it's still hot. Still
Kids are in
summer,
school already. Yeah,
but
it's
yeah,
crazy.
it's wild. It's just ripped by. So
You're the one that's had the most excitement this summer, Mark.
yeah,
And I use the word excitement.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Beef, I saw Slider started kindergarten. Man, that's a fun age till the homework starts kicking in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you should have seen him the other day too. He gave us deuces, as the kids say, when we got to school. I mean, he went to bed 90 minutes earlier than he went to bed any day of the year.
Worn out.
The night before school, he was so excited. But he's doing this little thing like he's being coy and stuff, and like he wasn't excited. And then as soon as we dropped him off at school, he didn't even turn back. We're like, "We'll see you, pal." My wife was lucky to get those pictures, but the teacher came out and grabbed the students, and he didn't even look in our direction.
Kid's very, very photogenic. I don't know. I must get that from Laura.
Yes.
That goes without saying. All right, fellas. Before we get to, we always like to play this little game before we get to the picks or the picks for the year picks. We have a little game we like to play, and this is at Casey's expense. This is the game where Casey is not allowed to say anything, because no matter who I bring up, he and Casey or she and Casey were best friends, hung out together the whole time, and like Casey could call him up at any time. They're like this. But Casey, it's time for you to be quiet right after we play.
I believe went to my high school. I just clicked on them by accident.
Everybody went to your high school.
Everybody went there.
Except you two schmoes.
We're back.
It's America's favorite game show. It's you two schmoes. For those new folks, this is where I ask Locks. I give him a name. I ask him questions. He decides which one of the four choices this year.
Whoa.
Oh boy.
Actually went to high school, Casey's high school, which at last count 7,428,217 people graduated from. Locks, are you ready?
Since 1856, that's probably close.
It might be. I mean, it's pretty popular. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what my winning percentage is on this, but I think it's pretty decent. This was like a little class that Casey and I used to study when we were roommates in college. So,
have you studied the yearbooks I sent you in the mail?
I did. I'm set. Whenever you want to, fire it up here, Marty. We're always
all right. Well, this is the part where I usually say you can't use the internet, but on this one, you can't use the internet. But even if you did, it's going to be tough because it's a pretty common name.
Okay.
Joe Martinez, an esteemed graduate. I think he and Casey were best friends.
No, but his brother was Javi. And he's got a younger brother, Andrew, that's now the music and theater teacher.
Is he? Nice. Yeah. All right, Locks. He has made a big, huge name for himself. And once you miss it and I tell you who he is, you'll understand why he's made such a big name for himself this year. Joe Martinez is either the vice president of Mars Inc. Did you know Mars, besides candy bars, they do pet food? I had no idea.
I didn't either. I was going to say candy immediately.
Research, right? I did some research. Vice president of Mars Inc. He's the vice president of on-field strategy for what the hell's that? For MLB, or he's the senior vice president of Horizon BCBS of New Jersey, or Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Okay, gotcha. I was thinking.
I mean, the GIMP over here knows all about health insurance.
Hey, they cover my family as well.
Burn. Mine is called Health Select, and it is Blue Cross Blue Shield, by the way. Okay. VP of Advanced Door Systems.
Okay, well, we got
1, 2, 3. I always give you one. So when I say 4, think 3.
We're down to 33% chance.
Yeah.
So the Mars one.
I will tell you that headquarters is in Hackettstown, New Jersey, for the candy.
Yeah.
I don't want to
That's,
give you a hint, but I'm just saying.
Right. Interesting. And Blue Cross Blue Shield sounds a little fishy.
Headquarters in Newark, New Jersey.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with the one that makes a little more sense. I'm gonna go with the baseball one, the B.
You
How about
are correct.
Nailed
Vice President of on-field operations. He is the guy. Why he's important? He's the guy, and this is where I heard about him. He went around to all the teams this year and explained the new stupid rules, the new rules. So,
really? That's
yeah.
a heck of a job. My God, with the pitch clock and
Well,
everything.
it's not selling textbooks or anything, but he's done all right for himself. He had like a meteoric rise too, Casey. Looking at his, I mean, he's only been with baseball MLB as far as I could tell a couple of years.
He played.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Yeah, he was with the San Francisco Giants. He got hit in the head with a line drive. He was a pitcher, and he actually was having a decent career, kind of a middle reliever guy, and then got hit in the head or face or something, and it kind of derailed the whole career.
And he went to Boston College, by the way.
He did go to Boston College. Yeah, his brother went to Fordham. Javi.
There's our friend JP who says
JP,
Schmoes.
just in time for Schmoes.
Yes, you too, folks. Zach Locks Parker 1-0 on the Schmoes. Now, why
that was a deep dive, though.
I mean, I don't know where you're finding this information.
You had to know Joey Martinez. I mean, my dad was sweet on Mrs. Martinez. I'll tell you that.
TMI.
No, my mom knew. Every time Mrs. Martinez would come in the office, I think my dad turned his fans on. And the dad was Jose. He's a really nice guy too. So yeah, I do actually know the family. Sorry.
Cool. We knew you knew. I mean, that's a given in this game.
I don't know everybody, but I know the Martinez. They're from South Orange.
Yes, he did.
What else do you want to know? They went to South Orange Middle School.
Don't get him going. You already got him going.
Well, we won't play you Two Schmoes every week just for this reason, but we will play it from time to time to add some levity to this. But if you want levity, here we go. We're going to start talking football. Locks, the two-time defending champion. I was out after week 1 last week. Just played along for the next 12 or 13 weeks. I think Beef made a run there at one point.
Yeah.
Locks has – what do you have, Locks? You got a belt.
A belt? I have a ring?
A belt and a ring.
I have it all in a safe upstairs. I should have brought it with me, but I should have brought it for the show. But I
had dinner with Locks and his family about a month ago, or maybe a couple weeks ago. And when I showed up to the restaurant, he had the belt on, and he couldn't eat because that ring was so big.
He has a belt, a ring, and the hat. And we'll what do we got here in the comments, Beef?
Always about Jersey with you, Cregan. That's so true.
Yes, stay tuned for Rutgers over-unders in a few minutes.
We are picking the Big Ten.
Yes, we are. A belt, a ring, this year's hat. Casey and I, if he keeps winning, we're going to turn him into a pimp.
That will get worn, definitely, if I get that.
Oh, that was a classic. That was a classic thing. And my wife even took a picture of me. I'm surprised she even hung out with me. All right, fellas, we're going for the conference winners first up. Now, Locks, you are the winner, so you get to choose whether you want to go first, last, middle, or you're indifferent.
I am indifferent. You're running the show, Marty. Tell me what to do. Go for it.
Beef came in second, so what do you want to do, Beef?
I'll go. I'll just go so that we stop talking about this and just go.
We'll put Locks last then. I'll go second. ACC, Beef, who you got?
Do you want long-winded answers from me or short-winded? It's a new season.
Is there any other
I was like, I didn't know there was an option. Whatever you want to do, Beef. Whatever you want to do.
I'm going with Clemson. I think that's the lock here. But I do. FSU's getting a lot of love, and I'm starting to kind of swing that way. And I here's one of my many tonight. I just go out on a limb because I really don't care about the repercussions. I think that Duke actually finishes third in the conference this year, but Clemson wins it.
Okay.
And beats Florida State twice.
Okay. I've seen a lot about Florida State. I've also seen a lot about can't beat them twice. Whoever wins the first one's going to lose the second one. I think Clemson wins the first one because it's at Clemson. I don't know who wins the second one, but I'm also going with Clemson in the ACC. Locks?
I same thing. I was trying to think of something cool to say, but
wrong show.
Not having the divisions this year, I think will make the conference more strong as a whole, because you're gonna get a real matchup, I think, in the ACC championship. So no matter who it is, but I think what you guys said is true. Having to play Florida State twice it'll be a real test, and it's going to help whoever wins out. Just in the long run for the playoff. So I like Clemson to win it.
All right. So we got 3 Clemsons. Beef, the Big Ten.
I'm actually going to go out on a limb here too, as I do every year, especially I think I picked Iowa State like the last 3 years for the Big 12, but I'm going to go with Penn State this year. I am absolutely, whereas I'm not necessarily buying the Florida State love, I'm absolutely buying the Penn State love. I don't think it's anything really against Ohio State or Michigan. I think they're both going to be really good. I think the best quarterback in the conference is Drew Allar. He's a sophomore. He was highly rated coming out of high school. A local kid, I believe. He's from Pennsylvania. JP can correct me there if I'm wrong. But I just think they're loaded at running back. They have 2 running backs that are just fantastic. They have a couple wide receivers. I believe they have a transfer from Kent State who was the leader in the MAC. I know it's the MAC, but he was the leader in receiving in the MAC, and Cephas. I just think that team, and apparently James Franklin said they're 3 deep on the defensive line, and all 3 levels are really good. So I'm fully buying into the Penn State love, so I'm going Penn State.
Nice. Is this comment true, by the way?
I hope so. It better be. Women's soccer, maybe. I'll be there.
Penn State.
Well, if Clemson's in the Big Ten, that's legit.
Hey, yo, are you breaking news? Breaking news. I'm also going to go outside the box, not far outside the box. I'm going to say Ohio State gets their revenge on Michigan and wins the Big Ten this year and makes the playoff, which we'll get to in a little while. But I think Ohio State, after 2 years of not winning, of not beating Michigan and not hearing it, they've recruited so well. I think the 3 of us could throw to those wide receivers. I just think they're gonna. I know they got to play out in Michigan, but I don't think that matters that much. And I think Ohio State will take the Big Ten. Beef, Locks. Sorry, I'm already screwing up.
I looked at both schedules. I was between Ohio State and Michigan. I'm picking Michigan because it is at Michigan this year. Kind of think all of a sudden tides have turned. 3 in a row would be awesome. I think anytime Ohio State loses, it makes me smile. And plus, the experience too. JJ McCarthy, won the starting spot last year. He looked great. Blake Corum is the real deal. Look for him in New York for the Heisman. At least in the ceremony, he may win the whole thing. Yeah, and they do take turns too, so they stay fresh. So they're going to run it down your throat. But yeah, I mean it's Michigan. I think so again. So
I love that 3 of us and everybody's got a different pick. So
yeah. Michigan at Penn State, definitely going to be the whiteout game this year.
Yeah.
So Penn State plays at Ohio State, I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm.
I think they must, right?
Because Ohio State would play Michigan.
That's right. Ohio State is at home. Yeah, Ohio State is at home for that game. Yes.
All right. Three choices, 3 different winners between the 3 of us. I love it. Love it. Okay, Big 12 up for grabs. Beef, and they actually have 12 teams now. It's just not a name anymore.
I'm going with UCF. No, I'm not really. For this one, I think this is stock for me. I think it's Texas. I think Quinn Ewers doesn't get hurt last year. They beat Alabama, but of course, shoulda, woulda, coulda. I think my pick for possible Heisman in New York is actually Xavier Worthy, the wide receiver from Texas. If he doesn't go to New York for the Heisman, he will win the bullet in the coffin. I know there's a guy named Marvin Harrison Jr. coming out of Ohio State. I like Sark calling the plays down there. I love Quinn Ewers. I think he's a dirty-looking hippie, but I think he's a wonderful football player, good quarterback if he can stay healthy. They do have to replace Bijan Robinson, but I think they definitely have a couple guys in Jonathan Brooks and Jaden Blue that are actually going to be really good for them. So I'm going Texas.
Locks, apparently Beef did some research. It's the other podcast he does.
Dropping
They require
a
it.
lot of names.
I just listen to other podcasts and then just regurgitate exactly what they say.
What happened to the old beat to it? I don't know, Rutgers.
It's coming. It's coming.
I looked for a reason for it not to be Texas, but then I looked at the teams in there, and you can't trust any of these teams. That's the whole thing. And I think Texas has definitely the most talent in the conference, but you could say that for the last 27 years, just about, right? But I think they want to win it this year, and I think Texas is going to win it. Locks?
Yeah, I said just like you, Marty. I couldn't find anyone else to pick other than Texas. Quinn Ewers, like you said, is great, but I have something that'll maybe contradict that coming up later in the show. So I don't know. I think they're a good team. Swan song for this conference is what it looks like after this. So
we may only have power 2 next year. Power 3, power 2,
maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows?
2.5. Let's go 2.5.
2.5.
All right. Speaking of not being a conference next year, Beef, who you got in the Pac-12?
Pac-4. I'm going with no. I'm actually going with Washington because I don't want to pick Southern Cal, and I like Washington and Utah, so I was kind of in between those two. But Kalen DeBoer, and we all know who the Chopper Beef Show's favorite quarterback is, back for his 12th year at University of Washington, Michael Penix Jr. I think he's going to be a top 10 pick in the NFL draft, and I just think that they got some dogs. They play some offense with DeBoer, so I don't know anything about their defense because why watch defense?
And to Nelson's point, I've been reading a whole lot, and
I'm sure you have down there.
Texas is back. The flags are flying outside. They'll be down by middle October. 15 yards on the defense.
Don't do that. It's like a throat slash.
I'm going to go straight up with Southern Cal. I just think they're going to outscore everybody. I don't know how
That's
good
a
they do.
smart pick, Marty.
That's rarely heard.
I don't do that.
Yes, not required on the show. I think they're going to go like 11-1. They'll lose to somebody. They'll have a bad day. It's college football.
Utah.
Yeah. And they'll lose to somebody. They'll have a bad day, and then they'll crush the next 5 teams. They're going to outscore almost everybody in their conference and on their schedule. Locks, who you got in the pack?
I have USC also. Caleb Williams, won the Heisman, looked great. I don't see a real downturn in his play coming forward. They got all the weapons, and he's just one more year of offensive production ahead of him. So he's going to put up some numbers. I won't be awake to see him, but it'll be great.
Well, the good news is you're moving to the Big Ten, so you'll be able to see him at noon.
Exactly. Big noon.
The big noon game next year. So, all right, SEC. Beef, who you got in the SEC? I can't. Huh?
I brought my Mississippi State T-shirt. I'm not picking them, no.
Okay.
I really wanted to pick somebody else. I think there's only one answer in this conference. There really is only one answer in this conference, and it is Georgia, and I'm picking Georgia. But if I were to go number 2, I will say Alabama or LSU, whoever wins that game. I really like Jaden Daniels. I feel like on offense they only lost that Butte guy. So I think they're loaded again. If Daniels can be serviceable for LSU, I think they're going to be really, really good again. But how do you pick against Georgia? I don't see it. They're going to sleepwalk their way till December.
It's funny you should ask how you pick against Georgia, Beef, because
Saban's smiling at press conferences.
Exactly. One of us has a pick in mind coming up that may or may not relate to Georgia, and may or may not relate to South Carolina. So stick around for that. But I'm also picking Georgia to win the SEC. Locks?
It's Georgia. It's unfortunately Georgia. Their schedule is so cupcake. They play Tennessee away, and if that's your toughest test, boy oh boy, I hate to see your strength of schedule numbers because it can't be much. They're going to roll right on through. They have this dude that's the unicorn, Brock Bowers. I mean, tune in. He's incredible. Hey, feed him the ball. You can't tackle him. He's great. And how about Bama? Just still no quarterback, supposedly. I don't know. You think that's true?
No.
No.
They got
But
plenty.
they may have three. Maybe they have
Yeah.
three. I don't know. But that's old Nick trying to keep it close to the vest. But yeah, the West is going to be top heavy with LSU and Bama. But I don't see Georgia getting beat.
I 100%. Well, I don't 100% agree with that. I think they do win the SEC. Beef playoff teams. Who you got?
So I'm going to stay on my picks. I'm going with Penn State and Drew Lar. I'm going Georgia and some dude named Carson Beck. I don't know who the hell. Lad McConkey and Brock Bowers. I mean, if that doesn't just scream boring, I don't know
It's going to be boring, would.
Cade Klubnik and Will Shipley and Phil Moffa and the Clemson Tigers, and I'm going with Texas and Quinn Ewers to be my final four.
Wow.
Penn State, Georgia, Clemson, Texas.
Okay, I got Ohio State, Georgia, Southern Cal. Probably have to find that second SEC team in there. At least two. I think that's in the bylaws. So at least two SEC teams in there.
It's happened before.
I couldn't do it.
You're there too.
LSU. I'll go LSU.
Yeah.
So what I say, Ohio State. Shit, I don't even remember. I don't think Clemson. I think Clemson falls short a little bit this year. Yeah. We'll get to that in just a second. Locks, who you
got? Georgia, Clemson, Michigan, and USC. I think it'll be like there's not going to be more Pac-12, so we're going to give USC the sympathy vote and get them into the playoff.
All right. So now, Beef, who's your champion?
That wasn't on the list. Oh, yes, it was. Crapola.
Pick one. It's 25% chance.
This is very serious, Beef.
I'm going Georgia just because three-peat Georgia Bulldogs.
I'm going Ohio State. Locks will be happy with that one.
God.
Who you got, Locks?
I'm going to change it to Clemson. Because Eric Thomas came in the other day, the motivational speaker, and he said 15-0, and then Dabo said 15-0. So 15-0, Houston. Clemson, go Tigers.
Nailed it. I'll go with Georgia, unfortunately.
All right.
I don't want to, but I
just couldn't do it.
I don't see a way around it. Yeah. 3 in a row. Whoopee. This year shouldn't even count for them. It's not fair.
All righty. Bold prediction time, fellas. Now, I asked you guys during the week. This is the one thing we did talk about for everybody out there listening. We only talked about one thing, and it was come up with a bold prediction. Beef, you volunteered to go first. What's your bold prediction?
Yeah, I sure did. I'm going to keep it Clemson related, as most of the stuff we talk about is Clemson related. I'm going to say Clemson has 2,000-yard rushers and a 1,000-yard receiver.
So
I don't know who they are.
Strecco, what's his name? Sturco or Paul Sturco?
Yeah.
Okay.
Obviously Moffa, Shipley, and I don't know who the 1,000-yard receiver will be.
I would think Antonio Williams certainly has.
Antonio Williams, Adam Randall, maybe. And if Bo Collins can stay healthy, he was on track last year early.
Yeah. I'm just thinking, no doubt. I'm thinking Antonio Williams has a chance to catch 100 passes.
Yeah.
They might be short, but he can put some of those.
He can run.
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay, here's a big bold prediction I have that I said may or may not involve the University of South Carolina Gamecocks. I doubt if it does involve them. Locks was on it earlier saying how weak Georgia's schedule is. I think Georgia loses a regular season game. I don't know to who, maybe Tennessee. Remember a few years ago?
They're not going to be bad. Yeah. But
a few years ago, they lost to South Carolina. I know they weren't the Georgia that they are now. They're a little bit different.
A little bit.
And they do have an easy schedule. But there's still 2 games that I think are losable, right? They play Tennessee. Who else do they play? They don't play Alabama. But there's somebody else in there. Do they play LSU? Do they play Kentucky?
Auburn.
Auburn is terrible. Yeah, it's not much, man.
I'm going to say.
I hope you're right, Marty. I hope that, and I think Nelson even said it in the comments before. They're not going to be tested at all until December.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even with those 2, I mean, so it might be hard to get up for a game like a Tennessee, or if they're at Auburn. I don't know where that game is, but
don't we all remember when Pittsburgh, and famous quarterback Nathan Peterman came into Clemson, South Carolina, and took down Deshaun Watson.
I was
Funny
6
things
rows
happen.
off the field. I remember it's the last game my wife went to because she's no longer allowed.
Not entitled.
She was branded that day. Okay, I'm going to say Georgia loses the regular season game just because I want them to. And
Just because we're hoping more.
yes,
And
because we're
manifest
hoping.
it.
Yeah, and they almost lost last year, right? They were losing to, was it Missouri? They were way down.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff happened. You just never know. It's college football. Georgia loses the regular season game. Locks, what do you got?
I'm going to go back to the University of Texas. We all know how good Quinn Ewers is, but he's not going to finish the season as the starter, I don't think.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I think that kid has to have the biggest amount of pressure on him compared to any other player with who's behind him. And you know, Texas, once they lose to Alabama in week, 2 or 3?
Two, I think, yeah.
It's going to be a little bit of chatter. And if, by God, if they lose another one in the first half of the schedule,
Iowa State
he's going to get ganked. He will. I guarantee you, because just the pressure is going to be so bad on Sarkisian. So, and you got a world beater supposedly behind him. I don't know if it's going to be the right decision, because that poor kid's going to end up back in the transfer portal or go somewhere else and be a star, because he is the real deal. But when you have Arch Manning behind you, it's going to be a tough season for him, I think.
Do you think Arch is better than Quinn Ewers?
It doesn't matter what I think. It matters what everybody in those stands thinks, and all that alumni. Because you heard all the stories about the Texas alumni and the boosters. It's got to be a miserable position being the head coach.
And you always know that as soon as something goes down, everyone's favorite player is that backup quarterback. If anyone knows it, it's Clemson folk.
Yeah, and I mean, this one you legitimately have like the guy that everybody wanted, and I mean, it's got to be a tough spot for him to be in.
It's not like Will Proctor behind Kyle Parker.
Yeah,
yeah. I live around those folks, and they even when they won the national championship, they weren't happy.
Yeah.
Why is that guy getting 3 carries instead of 6 carries? And and they went on for years. They were. It reminded me of recently of Clemson fans were the 11-1, because this was before the playoff time. Texas hasn't been 11-1 in a while. The 11-1 seasons were just crap. We're horrible. We beat Rice by 62. 62, that's all.
Yeah.
So, and remember Mac had a very similar saying to Dabo that we can't beat everybody by 100, or we won the game. It's very hard to win. All those sayings, I think they share in the book of
they do.
coach sayings. Very similar sayings for Mac and Dabo. So, okay, fellas, next week we start the text up with the picking the games. So one question I do have for you guys: can we pick the same games, or must we pick different games?
We can pick the same games.
Okay.
We have before.
Very few times, and then we profusely apologize for stealing
Mr. Over-Under over here.
Well, yeah, I mean, and you do however you want, because remember, there's about 4 weeks in the season. There's just not a big plate to pick from. So yeah, absolutely, I think so.
Well, that's why we're not picking any games this week. There's like 6. And,
it's tough.
Yeah.
Seton Prep's in Dublin. Just to let you know, they're playing a team from Tennessee. They're going to get worked.
In Dublin? Dublin, Texas?
Dublin, Iowa.
They're playing the night before Notre Dame plays Navy on the same field.
It's crazy.
Of course they are. Joe Martinez and the world champion NBA basketball coach will be there. What's his name?
Michael Malone. His mother calls him Michael.
Okay.
I don't know that. I made that part up.
You do?
No, I really don't. I don't know. I know his dad. I don't know his mom.
He told me they lived next door to you last week.
No.
So next week we'll start. We'll choose, and we do the same thing on the text message. We want to text each other the point spread so we can verify that, because you may get it at one spread, I may get it at another. 10,000 Sluggo Bucks are up for. We'll start with 10,000, 3 games a week. We'll play along. The winner gets the dope hat that has Zach Parker's name already stenciled in the inside of it. And we'll go from there, fellas. Next week we'll pick some games. I'm looking forward to it. It's been a while, and plus, I can't. I've been out of the house today to get physical therapy. It's the first time in a month, so
Wow.
it's been a slow summer for me. So I've been looking forward to this. All right, Beef. Tell everybody thank you, and I appreciate all the comments. I'm sorry I couldn't get to them all tonight. I'm relearning all this. Had to download a new browser. The video didn't work on Chrome, so who knows?
Thanks to everyone in the Seldom Used Reserve College Football Discussion Facebook group. Uncle John McGee, as always, Sluggo Podcast, and each and every one of you who listens, likes, shares, and participates. On behalf of Marty, Seldom Used Reserve Coleman, and Zach Locks Parker, I'm Casey the Beef Creek, and thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you right here next week on Sluggo.
Thanks, fellas. Next week.
I think we're done here.